Hello and welcome to the Gameplay Cast review for the third-person shooter hack and slash Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. The first title in this series is a game I remember playing back on the original PlayStation, and for the time it was actually a fantastic game that I really enjoyed. Consequently, I played a few of its sequels on the PS2, and I think I caught Armored Core 4 on the 360 as well. These were always solid outings by FromSoft, and given there hasn't been a title in the series for 10 years, I must say I was intrigued to see if this is still a game I would enjoy, as well as what changes and improvements have been made to the formula. Like its predecessors, Rubicon is what it says on the tin. You're a mech pilot mercenary who uses their AC's range of high-powered shoulder weapons, giant-scaled rifles, and arm-mounted laser blades to complete missions for money, or CORM as it's called in AC6. You then use that money to upgrade your mech and get even bigger and better weapons, so that if you come across any other mech pilots on your missions, you can send them to the scrap heap. Time for the all-important bottom line. Is this a sortie you accept, pilot? In my case, as a fan of the original and wider series, it's definitely a yes from me. But keep watching to hear my full mission debrief and to see where this game ranks out of 10. Upon playing the game for the first few hours, I was actually really surprised at how familiar the game looked and felt. I mean, I can still see and feel the DNA from the original game alive and well. You pick a mission, get a brief from some crazy over-the-top voice actor, and off you go. You're then deployed into a miniaturized, kind of micro-machines world with plenty of destructible scenery and buildings for you to needlessly destroy as you blast around the map eliminating objectives. In a way, this game is very much like the gaming equivalent of comfort food. You know, that food that makes you smile when you just can't be bothered cooking, and you just want something you know tastes good and will fill you up. That for me is this game. It's a solid if unambitious game that's true to its roots, or rather its core. Something I used to love in the original game was spending ages in the garage trying different build styles and weapon combinations, always hunting for that perfect balance between hard-hitting weapons and AC mobility. In this regard, AC6 met all of my expectations. There were plenty of components to buy, find and unlock. Moreover, there's tons of logos and customization options too, so you can build, colour and customise your AC to your heart's content. Moving on to the combat, and let me say this up front, in no way do I want to turn this into a full Souls-like, but you do get some of that classic FromSoft style in the game, which I do enjoy. It's nowhere near as brutal as Elden Ring, but there are some challenging opponents and missions. Challenge being something that a lot of modern AAA games seem to have forgotten about. Overall, I think the game mostly found that nice balance between fun and challenging. It was pretty generous with its checkpoints, and usually offered regular resupplies before boss battles, so very charitable from a FromSoft game. The game also offers plenty of replayability, as once a mission is complete, you can go back and replay it. This is handy as it allows you to pick up any logs or items you missed, as well as work towards that library of S ranks. There's also a PvP arena, the Nest, not my bag, but it's at least an option, and the standard ranked arena, where you fight through all the ranked ACs, working your way to that number 1 spot. All of these are relatively bite-sized in length. This gives the game that pick up and play quality, which works well with its narrative style. Speaking of which, while not really a negative or a positive, the game's narrative, as with all AC games, is just completely bonkers. I don't know, maybe it makes sense in Japanese, but the style has always been to just throw you into a setting in which big corporations are battling each other for supremacy, and let the player pick a path. This usually been done through the choice of mission selection. In AC6, these decision missions have a symbol denoting when you will not be able to complete all of the missions offered. Said decisions determine which faction you will end up supporting, and what ending you will get. I know I described the game as that comforting bowl of soup and crusty loaf on a cold winter's day, and that it was a very solid and true to its core kind of game. But I did also say it's unambitious, and it really is considering that it has been 10 years since the last AC game. I don't know, I think given the scale and ambition of Elden Ring, which was obviously a huge success for FromSoft, I was hoping that some of that magic might have rubbed off on AC6. Unfortunately, I don't think it did. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the game, it's fun, nostalgic, and it hit all the right notes. I just think they could have pushed the envelope a lot further. Like, take the mission design. If you've played an Armored Core game before, you will be familiar with all of the objectives and challenges. The graphics and environments are all pretty standard, and a bit plain Jane to be honest. Hell, even the catalogue of parts in the garage is just enough. I wouldn't exactly describe it as massive, or that you're spoilt for choice. And yeah, you could throw all of these complaints at most of the AC games, but I just figured after 10 years that they might have aimed for the fences, and not just a solid hit. Furthermore, though I enjoyed the combat overall, the FromSoft style brings with it a lot of the classic flaws and frustrations. For example, if you get your AC into somewhere that the game clearly doesn't want you to go, maybe right on top of a big boss in its blind spot, you'll often just get bashed about and take huge damage despite not really being struck. The camera will also often betray you during fights with quick moving ACs, so even though you've selected the target lock option, they will still end up right behind you and spank you with their most powerful weapons as you clumsily try to move the camera around so you can see them. It's far from game breaking, but it definitely has that wildcard camera and damage attribution that has you shouting the odd gamer word. Special mention to the mission Eliminate the PCS Forces on the Wall, where the devs, in my opinion, forgot to add a checkpoint, meaning if you fight the secret AC right at the start of the mission, on top of the 2 elite MTs and the special heavy MT with the magic BS shield, the mission can be a real struggle. In the end, I had to abandon getting the log from this mission until the end of the game, when I could go back with all of my OS upgraded and the best beam sword. I also have a slight critique of the narrative choice system, which is the fact that it's visible and made obvious. I think they could have been a lot cleverer with this mechanic. I can understand why they did it from a gameplay perspective, because everyone's going to go online and look up the mission paths they want anyway, but I feel hiding it from the player adds that sense of unknown and makes you think about each and every mission choice in the moment, as, at least on your first playthrough, you won't know which mission decisions will lead to what consequences. Despite its drawbacks and its very safe footing, I still enjoyed the game. I keep saying it, but I do think the game is very much the gaming equivalent of comfort food. Or to use a gardening metaphor, it's Ronseal. It does exactly what it says on the tin. Consequently, you'll find yourself going back to the game to chase those S ranks, as well as start your New Game Plus. That said, I stand by my critique that the game could have pushed the limits a lot more. They could have upscaled the graphics and scenery, added more destruction physics, really gone to town on the missions to make them a lot less linear, and take advantage of the fact that we're in some crazy future world. Let's get a fight in space or under the sea, go a bit crazier. We know you can do it FromSoft. Anyway, I'll stop. Though I've commented a lot about the lack of ambition, it's not a boring game, it's fun. There's plenty of challenge in the combat, a ton of build options for AC, all topped off with the standard suite of missions a seasoned AC player would expect. Where then does it rank? Well, I think this is a solid B rank, which on the gameplay cast scale is a 7 out of 10. It will satisfy fans of the franchise, as well as anyone looking for a reasonably challenging pick up and play third-person shooter hack and slash, but it won't set the world on fire. I think this was FromSoft testing the waters to see if players were still willing to support the franchise. So here's to hoping the message they got from this was a big yes, and that for AC7, they should throw the kitchen sink at us and really go for broke. Anyway, that's all, Pilot. Dismissed. And as always, f*** Erebus.